Hey everybody, welcome to DTNS Experiment Week. All this week, DTNS is on vacation, summer vacation. So we handed over the feed to our friends to try some stuff out. Each of them has an experimental podcast idea that they'd like your feedback on. So please send us your feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, or leave your feedback at patreon.com/DTNS. We'll pass it along to them. And remember, each one of these is their podcast, so they are responsible for the content, but we hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, welcome to the 64-Bit Field Guide. It's our very first show. We're trying something here. My name is Blair Bazdarich, and I am a co-host for This Week in Science Weekly. And I am joined today by two of my very best friends.
Yes. Oof, yeah. Hooray. We're basically the same. Yeah.
First is this very special best friend.
Besties for life.
No, I'm joined by my husband, Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm a nursing student, and yeah, I'm just pretty in the medical field right now. But I love video games and board games and stuff.
Excellent.
Especially Pokemon.
Yeah, and we are also joined by Jesse.
Hello, I'm Jesse McGrath. I am a high school English teacher, and I co-host the podcast Jesse and Wilder's Guide to Life, which is a catch-all for everything.
Excellent. And so we thought it would be super fun to have a show where we kind of mix in all of our expertise. So I, on This Week in Science, talk about animals primarily. I am a zoologist by training. I spent a lot of time working with animals. And I think just in general, I really like talking to people about obscure animal facts. And these two, Brian and Jesse, are especially good audience when I bring up some very strange animal facts.
Hell yeah.
And so where that kind of gets interesting is that I'm a bit of a more novice gamer, but I'm interested in that kind of stuff and sci-fi and fantasy. And these two are both filled to the brim with lots of knowledge about the obscure and the not so obscure of those worlds. And in those worlds, there's a lot of animal type things, creatures, and we thought it might be fun to see where those two worlds meet.
She really hesitated when she said knowledge.
Yeah, I know.
It's like she was looking for a different word and was like, I guess knowledge.
Knowledge,
Yeah.
experience, both, I guess.
Yeah.
Neither, no.
No.
Great. So this is the 64-Bit Field Guide. We are going to start with the world of Pokemon, our pocket monsters, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Direct translation.
Oh, hold on. We got an expert.
So I definitely have very little experience with Pokemon. I did not watch the show.
Oh, missed
I
out.
did not play the card game. I did not play any of the video games. So, like, in the shortest version, what would I need to know before we get into some Pokemon in particular?
I always get the timelines mixed up. It started as the Game Boy game or the cards, and then the anime came after.
I think the Game Boy game was first.
Okay, that's what I
Because
thought too.
and the anime is like loosely based, because then when they made Pokemon Yellow, which there's three, I think three original Pokemon games. It was Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, and then they made a Pokemon Yellow, which followed the show a little more closely, where like Pikachu was your starter Pokemon.
Yes.
Because you have three normally you start with. It's either Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur. You don't get Pikachu till later in the game in the original.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so they're fighting each other.
Yes.
But so this is part of what I don't understand. Like, are Pokemon the wild animals in this reality?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when did they start getting captured in these balls? Like, they were all over?
It seems like always. Only one Pokemon game, to my knowledge, and I'm definitely like watched the OG anime, but have not watched anything recent. It only kind of addresses the icky part of it like one time, and I think that was Black and White, maybe.
I think you're right.
It was either that or Pearl and Diamond.
Yeah,
but I think it was Black and White.
Yeah,
and the whole thing was that the enemies of that, big air quotes. Their whole thing was like, we should free all the Pokemon because we're holding them captive.
Right.
And your job as the protagonist of that game was like, but we're friends.
Right. We're making best friends.
Yes.
And I think they established that right away. That, like, you're supposed to be best friends.
Friends till the end is like in the song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're trying to sing this.
Yeah.
Because it's in there somewhere.
To train them is my cause.
Yeah. Teach me. Well, you'll teach me and I'll teach you.
Pokemon, right.
But so, like, in terms of the ecology of the Kanto region is where you start, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, why hasn't it collapsed? Because all of the Pokemon are being captured. There's still a lot.
Because it's
there's still so many.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're basically. I think, and this is, I could be way wrong on this one, but I think they truly, as you pointed out earlier, they truly replace wild animals in general. So every wild animal is a Pokemon. So it's like, no matter how many people are doing it, and not everybody is doing it, there's only like a certain few that have kind of like, oh, I'm going to catch these and be the very best, like no one ever was.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about, like, their role in nature. If I went and I captured every turkey vulture in a ball in suspended animation to fight for me, then there'd be carcasses everywhere, right?
Yes.
So it's just a few of them.
There are quite a few. There's bee Pokemon that I feel like fill a lot of the like pollination, but they're so numerous. They're as numerous as regular bees. I feel like to some degree, even though they're the size of.
I think we are running out of bees in real life.
Oh, crumbs, you're right. Well, we've been catching them all.
Too many
and fighting them.
Yeah, I think this is the core of Blair's question.
But it's still one per Pokeball? Like, you have one bee in there?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But also the bee eventually evolves into a creature that's as big as a man. So it's a little different.
So great. So that was the other thing I was talking about was evolution, because that word being used has always bothered me, because that's not how evolution works.
Sure.
But so they morph, right, as they grow, basically?
Yeah.
So they're more like metamorphosis. Right?
Yes, but what's tricky is that it's not just as they grow. I mean, grow is correct, but it's like the way that it functions in the game, which is kind of the core text, is they have to earn it.
Right.
It's not like it's
like XP in D&D.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just like happen like, oh, my Pikachu turned 10, so now it's a Raichu. It's like, no, if your Pikachu sucks, it just is always a Pikachu and never turns into a Raichu.
Well, see, that's a tricky one, because now we're getting real deep. You got to use a stone to make that one change.
Yes, many of them need extra. And now in the games, there's wild business where it's like, to evolve this one, you have to defeat a Steel-type Pokemon at night with that Pokemon, and then it will turn into the next form. So it has almost nothing. It is almost like just pure random circumstance rather than growth or XP or anything.
Okay.
To that point, there are sort of elements assigned to each Pokemon. For like, we've been using Pikachu, so that's an electric type of thing. The other, there's fire, there's ghost, there's like all
heart.
Yeah, heart. Right. Wind.
And okay, so the other general question I have before we get into Pikachu. So they talk. They say their name? Is that the only thing they say?
Well,
so it's tough. First of all, some of them I feel like don't say their name. They just go
right.
They have like a little call, and then in the anime, Meowth speaks like a human.
Yeah, so Meowth is a cat Pokemon, a small cat Pokemon that speaks
obsessed with coins,
100% like a human.
Is that the one
like a Brooklyn? I feel like human, like a New Yorker.
To the character that's in Super Smash Brothers that looks like a super yoked cat. Or is
no, that's like a fire. Yeah. That's a fire one.
That's a pig, also, I believe.
What?
Incineroar?
Yes, also, but then I think there's a fire cat one that turns into a big buff cat.
Yes. You're right.
That's the. I mean, if we're gonna get real nasty, this is what's grossing me out about modern Pokemon is they all look like humans. I don't know why they keep doing that. Yeah, but
okay. Well, now we're getting outside.
We're getting real deep.
Also, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, Meowth turns into another, a more cat-looking cat,
but still speaks fluent English.
That one never evolved, so I don't know. I think that's the fear, is if it does evolve, he would lose.
He would lose it.
Yeah,
because he does. Yeah,
they sort of change fundamentally.
I mean, they learn a new word and forget the old word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
they use their they have a new name.
Like Squirtle is not saying Squirtle as a Wartortle. He's just saying and I think he just says Tortle.
That's my question. Like, is their name? Are they saying their name, or is their name the sound they make?
Oh, that's interesting.
I think the name. I want to say the name is the sound they make.
Okay, so it's as if you called a cow a moo.
Right.
That's tough because. Well, yeah,
that's the only sound they make, like most of the time.
But like Wartortle is a great example of like. Turtle sounds like turtle and he looks like a turtle.
Right.
So that feels like someone named it, but then that's also assuming that they would know what turtles look like.
Right.
Which they don't.
Right.
But so much of their naming convention comes from our stuff. So it's tough. But that's a good question. I had never thought of that.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. So our first animal we're going to talk, or Pokemon, not an animal, creature.
Critter.
Crit-rat.
Cute little critter.
Is Pikachu. So tell me about Pikachu.
Well, he's an electric mouse. I think that's the crux of it.
Straightforward.
As far as the description goes.
Right, okay, so we think he's based off a mouse. But see, my whole life I assumed he was based off a pika.
That would make more sense. Yeah. However, it's not that we think in the Pokedex it says mouse Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which is another thing. Then they must have real animals.
Yes.
Because the Pokedex indicates mouse Pokemon.
Right.
And the Pokedex is something that is like in canon, like Ash uses the Pokedex.
Every iteration of Pokemon, anime, game, whatever, has a big ledger.
I see.
And half of the job of the protagonist is to fill the ledger.
Right.
Oh.
And it
gotta catch them all. You
gotta
say.
catch them all.
Okay.
Correct. And so they must have mice because it's calling it a mouse Pokemon. So I think they have real animals too.
Yeah, like Rattata is sort of he looks like a mouse too.
But this is a rat.
But
on account of the
his
name
is a rat. Right. No, you're right.
Touché.
The thing is, okay, so not to get too deep, but the dark part is what do they eat if Pokemon have replaced all animals?
Right.
What do they eat? They gotta eat. They have to be eating Pokemon.
Yeah,
or
they're eating other Pokemon.
Or they're eating a different animal that we don't really see.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So this gets into some of the animals that I wanted to talk about related to Pikachu. So I first wanted to talk about pikas because that was always my assumption because of the name.
Right.
Makes sense.
But there's a few problems with that. So I would say that Pikachu looks a lot like a pika in the face, which is basically just the cutest mouse you've ever seen.
Right.
But pikas don't have a tail. And I know that's like a pretty big deal with Pikachu.
Pikachu has such a tail.
Such a tail. Yeah.
It's like a bolt of lightning, basically, right? Okay. They live at very high elevations, and they're related to rabbits. They're related to lagomorphs. They have a high-pitched alarm call. Is that something that Pikachu has? I'm talking about
his
Pika.
voice is pitched.
Yeah, and it pitches up when he's doing like an electrical attack. He'll scream part of his name.
Yes, but sometimes it comes down in timbre. I feel like
you're right.
Pika, like it gets deeper. It gets puberty for a second.
Yeah.
But there is voice changing technology in Pikachu.
Right.
So it feels similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I guess also, it's very much like, there's a lot of communication if I figure like if this critter's getting bothered, he's going to say his name in a different way as a warning. So that seems
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
like there's something to it.
Right.
Yeah, something to it.
So then let's talk about the mouse of it all, because what characteristics would you say that Pikachu has if you were going to call it an animal? Like, so commands electricity.
And stores it in his cheeks, which is really odd.
Is that why he has those red cheeks?
Yes, that is one of the
Yeah, they'll crackle.
Yeah, one of the defining features is that he stores his electricity in his cheeks.
Oh my goodness.
Even though he doesn't look it, I think canonically he's very quick.
Yeah,
he learns quick attack.
Yes.
He does a lot of darting around.
Yep.
Okay, that's a mousy thing, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, dodging attacks, I think, is one of, especially in the cartoon and stuff, was one of his big things.
Yes.
Okay. Is he quadrupedal?
Both.
Yes. He often like when it's chill mode, it feels like he'll
walk
bipedal.
it. Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like wants to fit in with Ash.
Yeah.
But in battle mode, he drops down to all fours a lot.
He's much faster that way.
Yes, and he's much faster.
Yeah. But he does.
Much like me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I've seen it happen. Too. Yeah.
Famously.
Way faster. He does. See, this is the weird part. Does Pikachu have opposable thumbs? And I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, but his thumbs hands are tucked in.
We have an amiibo that we're looking
cute.
at.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a model we're referring to.
yeah. In the science community, Blair.
We have a Pikachu in the lab right now with us.
So as far as mice go, he's cute, he's fast, he's quadrupedal, he has a tail.
Other than him being called a mouse in his description, I don't know if I would assign any mouse traits to him.
Okay, great. So then let me get to the one that I really wanted to connect.
Yeah.
Electric eel.
Yeah, now we're talking.
That feels
now
good.
We're in it.
That feels positive.
So just some fun things I found out about electric eels. I don't know if you guys knew.
I'd love to hear.
The discovery of the electric eel inspired the invention of the first battery.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
That's
because
really cool.
they figured out the way they're doing it, sodium ion channels, very similar to how they make batteries. Anyway, we could get very deep in the weeds on that, but I just thought that was a neat anecdote. They're not actually a true eel. They're related to catfish. They're not related to eels. They can't see very well at all, but they actually have what's called a lateral line in their jaw, so they can sense electricity as well as dispel it.
I like that.
So they're sensing movement in the water. They could sense heartbeats.
Do they use that to like avoid predators?
And to hunt also.
Cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
They can be up to 6 feet long.
Yuck.
And they have 3 separate electric organs. So they can do a low voltage, a medium voltage, and a high voltage shock.
That's really cool.
That's neat.
Now, do you know how many volts you'd get if you stuck your finger in an outlet?
Oh, 1300.
It's 120.
Oh, I was way off.
You've heard of 120 volt, right?
Yeah. Now that you mention it.
So that's
You said that so confidently, though. Like, you were like, "Oh, 1300."
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know of this.
Man.
That was cool.
Yeah. Electric eels can do up to 600 volts.
Wow.
And the other thing that I thought was maybe similar, you can tell me, to Pikachu is that they can actually leap out of the water and deliver electric shocks.
Well, he can.
That's his
midair.
whole thing. He does jump and.
I thought he was a jumping
Yes.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he may appear to be like a mouse, but I think he's more of an electric eel if we want to.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think I do want to go back to this. You said it was helped invent batteries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good on that scientist, because if a thing shocked me, I think first of all I go and throw it back into the water.
Yeah.
From whence it came.
But 2, it seems way more in line with all of the old-timey science we know about, that they would be like, well, let's get these things in our house.
Yeah.
Like, let's get their electricity and put it here.
Electric fish? Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll put this in my phone or
Sells
whatever.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I think that where this kind of falls apart though is I think he has a weakness, right? Isn't that
Yeah, one of his weaknesses is water.
right? Which if you're an electric eel, that's your whole thing.
That's your whole
is
thing,
water.
yeah.
But also I think that is strange because water is conductive. So he should like water.
Wait, his weakness isn't water, is it?
I thought it was water.
No, water is weak to him. His weakness is ground, correct?
Ground?
Yes.
Like rocks and
Rock types,
such.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was way off again.
there's
1300?
Yeah.
Water?
You said it, and I was like, I think he maybe knows something I don't know. But yeah, his on like the original card and in the game,
But
a lot of electric or.
I
So
thought
I
if he
took,
got
I took
doused,
issue with
he
that
was out.
word ground, except that's what you do to electricity
Right,
is you
right.
ground it.
Yes.
So
Right.
actually, never mind Pokemon, you're on it.
Yeah, don't add us, by the way. If you're listening to this and you're like, their Pokéfacts are wrong, like, hey man, put that in your pocket. I don't know what to tell you. There's so many of them. We're trying over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you feel like it's a fuzzy electric eel? Do you think that works for...
Certainly more than a mouse.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, one of them can produce electricity, and the other one is real cute sometimes.
Yeah, it's like his whole thing.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a couple.
Oh, yeah,
Can I give a couple
please.
Pika facts?
Yes.
Oh, I would love it.
So first of all, there was supposed to be a third evolution of Pikachu. Do you guys know this?
Okay, so what's the second one?
Raichu.
Which is the little baby one from Super Smash Brothers?
Pichu.
So what's the deal with
Yeah,
that?
well, that one's a good one.
It's
a retcon.
Yeah,
for sure, if
they
there's
Okay.
can
anything.
just like introduce.
It's like a 3/4 level.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Pika.
Right. If they tried to make Pikachu cuter, which, come on. Yeah, right.
So, Pikachu turns into Raichu. A lot of people refuse to evolve it because you need the stone, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
Because Pikachu's the mascot. Why would you
Yeah.
want to change it? Now it looks different. He's like a darker color.
Perfect as is.
He's a little, yeah,
He's like
yeah, yeah.
orange, right?
More like
like
kind of a burnt
brown.
orange, yeah,
Yeah.
brown, yeah. But they didn't know when they came out with the game that he was going to be the mascot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it.
Yeah.
He was supposed to have a third evolution, Gorochu,
Oh.
and
Okay.
it got cut because of cartridge size for the Game Boy.
That makes sense.
They were just like, we don't think we're going to have enough room.
Yeah.
Cut this third Pikachu, which seems
What?
nuts now that
Yeah.
he's the mascot, that would be one of the things that got
Yeah.
trimmed.
Right.
But I have a better Pikachu fact.
Well, that was a
let's
really good
hear
one
it.
already.
I love that one.
love that
I
one.
love that one.
Cartridge.
This is a quote that I found on Wikipedia, so I guess fact check it if you'd like. The American staff responsible for bringing Pokemon Red and Blue, which were the initial games, to the United States, initially pitched to the team to redesign the quote cute Pokemon in order to appeal to American audiences. Of course, suggested redesign on Pikachu was described by the head of Pokemon Inc. as quote something like a tiger with huge breasts. It looked like a character from the musical Cats.
Now we are talking. Rum Tum Tugger
Yes.
is a heck of a cat.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I just had to. I saw that last night and was like, this is.
No, that's great because I almost brought a bunch of cat facts trying to see if Pikachu was a cat.
Mm-hmm. And his villain in the anime was a cat.
Right.
I mean,
you're right.
The one that could speak full sentences.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's move on to the animal or the Pokemon that you decided to bring.
Oh, Paris. Paris is.
How do we spell Paris?
So it's Paras.
Definitely thought it was.
Yeah.
Petty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a few Pokemon that are real sad. This is one of them to me that really bums me out. It's a cute little crab-looking critter. It's got
pull it up.
It's got 6 legs. Mm-hmm. 2 of them they have like little sharp. They look like they should be claws, but they're not. They're just little.
Aww.
They're not. They look like they're like they're claws and not pincers is what I mean to say. Mm-hmm. And he has little mushrooms on his back. Super cute. He evolves, or metamorphose.
Metamorphose.
Metamorphose. Yes. Yeah, he turns into a sort of more of a crab, but the mushroom on its back gets way bigger, and in the description, it completely takes over his body. So
is this Parasect? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Parasect. So his eyes are vacant.
Right. So it completely drains almost all the nutrients out of its host. This mushroom does.
Is there a third one? Or?
No, just those.
There's only 2.
The mushroom is fully in control there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are there a lot of Pokemon with only 2?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
I thought there were always 3.
No, some don't have any evolve at all.
Right.
They're just one.
Yep.
So why did you want to talk about this one?
Just because this one's always, since I've started playing Pokemon, this one always kind of hurt my heart. We had a critter that looked so, I mean, it's such a happy looking cute guy, and then it turns into like a mushroom piloted corpse, which really I
have some bad news for you.
What?
There's a lot of stuff in the animal kingdom like this.
Man, what if there wasn't though?
So first, I'm going to address the fact that obviously it's called Paris because of Parasite.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So there are different types of relationships between animals. They're symbiosis, right? So there's mutualism, that's where we both benefit. Mm-hmm. There's commensalism, one benefits more than the other, but the other one's not hurt. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then there's parasitism, which is when one is hurt and one is helped, right? Mm-hmm. And so parasitism is tough because if you are too good at it, then your host dies and then you don't have the benefits of being in this relationship anymore. So you have to be an ineffective parasite to be the best parasite. Like you have to make it take a long time to kill your host, basically. So that's why like COVID, for example, it's not a parasite, but this is true for diseases too. It started changing into these different variants. It became less deadly. Mm-hmm. And that's by design so it can actually spread better. Because if you die of COVID, then you can't cough on somebody anymore.
Right.
It sounds that's very dark. But but that's how diseases spread. And the same thing is true for parasites. They want to kind of leech off of their host as long as possible. So a couple things came to mind here. Zombies, which we talk about on This Week in Science all the time because it's a kind of a burgeoning area of study because it's hard to tell which bees are being parasitized. It's actually by a fly. They're called zombie flies, is their common name. And they lay their eggs in the body of a bee, and the larvae slowly eat the flight muscles of the bee.
Wait, how do they get to the bee?
Bee got a weapon.
Yeah, bee got a whole 2 weapons sometimes.
You land on their back.
That's the secret.
Well, if they're eating pollen, they're too busy getting drunk on pollen.
Yeah. So the eggs are laid inside the body of the bee. The larvae eat the muscles of the bee slowly, which they're not real muscles. Basically, like the piston network in their inside the exoskeleton. And so the bees start to act more and more disoriented. They have trouble moving around. They start walking in circles. Eventually, they have trouble standing, and they often abandon their hive. And so there's all this kind of research going into figuring out why they'd abandon their hive.
Right. Yeah.
It might be that the bees are trying to protect the other bees. Or it could be that they're losing it and they don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
So those are zombie flies. That's based on a fly. But I think the thing that this is most like is the whole Last of Us of it all, which is the parasitic fungus. There's a few different kinds, but one of them is cordyceps, which is exactly what the Last of Us is about, right?
Yeah.
And so parasitic fungus, there's a few of them, but the one that you usually hear about is mostly ants and some spiders, which is actually what I think Paris looks a lot like originally, is more like a spider, and then looks more like a crab later. And so they infect the ant or the spider, and then they leave where they're supposed to be. So with the case of ants, they're tree-dwelling ants, and they go down to the forest floor where it's more humid and hot, so that the fungus can grow better. And eventually they bite down on the underside of a leaf and their jaw locks in that position. Oh. And then they just slowly get devoured from the inside out by this fungus until it erupts from their head and releases spores.
Yeah, that's a roughie.
Yeah, so it's a bummer, but hey, that's nature. Yeah. Nature's gross sometimes. But I do think that's exactly what this is. It's a mushroom, right? So it's a fungus. Yeah. And it's growing on his head, and he's slowly going more and more vacant.
That's interesting, because there's a little bit of a flip-flop on that one. Because like Paris's and I think Parasecs, I think they're primarily cave-dwelling. And they, from my research, what I was reading is that they actually, like, a bunch of Parasects, the later evolution that, the pilots basically will completely devour a tree by latching onto it and just sucking their nutrients out of the tree. So it's like the opposite of what that.
Yeah. So it seems like if we could get Mr. Pokemon on the phone.
James Pokemon, please.
James, I think that he would say that this was the inspiration, most likely. Pretty direct.
Really bummer.
Yeah.
There is like especially in the original 151 Pokemon, there is like a few, it feels like there was a team and like Daryl was just in the lab with the darkest, just coming up, a lot of them were just like, this one looks like a turtle, but it's cuter and has a water gun. And then this guy's like, this one, the Cubone.
Yeah, say it, dude. Tell them. Tell the listeners.
Like, where's a skull? Where's his mom's skull?
Where's his mom's skull?
As a helmet, mask situation, and uses, like, her femur as a weapon.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think there's anything in the animal kingdom for that.
No, I didn't think I was, like, spoiling a future episode, because that is brute. That's more like Mad Max situation. So, it feels like there was just one guy on the Game Freak team who really put the freak in Game Freak.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with Paris?
I think you kind of covered a lot of the, like, sad magic of Paris is the fact that, like, this particular parasite doesn't kill Parasect or whatever. It just sucks out all the nutrients. And apparently if you remove the mushroom, this Pokemon wouldn't die. It just stops moving completely. So it's really, it's very much a just keep them...
Man, how did that come up in this children's
game? Keep them just so.
Yeah. So I'm saying there's a lot. I think they bet a lot on the kids not reading. Because that's all optional. It's like you go into the Pokédex, click through, and it's like a little dark paragraph. Not even a paragraph, 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Is there any, to your knowledge, the thing that's so interesting about Paris and Parasect to me is that it is a species that is defined by this, like, takeover. Like, it exists as, and seemingly gets its power, like, it has powers like Spore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From this.
Right.
Is there an animal in the animal kingdom where it's like, we only know it as this thing that is corrupted or infected or a vessel for another thing?
I mean, the closest I could say, and again, please don't get in the comments.
For sure.
Is lichen. Lichen is a symbiotic relationship between algae and...
I respect you so much for not just Googling it.
Yeah.
I will Google it.
No, I mean, you don't have to. I'm going this is great. I would just Google it and pretend the audience, just like you knew.
So, lichen, a fungus and algae.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
So fungus and algae, they are a symbiotic relationship. They cannot survive without each other.
Okay.
And so there's also, like, depending how deep you want to get into this rabbit hole, we have a bunch of bacteria in our stomachs that can't survive without us. Mm-hmm. And we cannot eat what we eat without them.
Yes.
Right? So, like, there's different varying levels of symbiosis, but I think in terms of specifically parasitism, there probably are, but I can't really think of any.
Yeah.
Well, you mean,
off the top of my head.
I feel like you were telling me about like mitochondria too. Like
the mitochondria started like
the powerhouse
complex.
Of the cell.
Yes, the powerhouse of the cell was its own microorganism. That's how you ended up with animal cells, eukaryotic cells. It was a big cell eating a small cell, but then they lost functionality, and then that's why I think symbiosis is so interesting. Like there's entire birds that they get all of the food that they eat from eating bugs off of the backs of rhinos. They can't survive without them. But again, those are beneficial relationships.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In terms of parasite relationships, there are plenty of parasites that can't survive without a host. But I don't think there's a lot of hosts that only exist with the parasite. Mm-hmm. Great. So we've done 2 Pokemon. So I think if we continue on with the show, I think the intention would be that we do 2 from either Pokemon or some kind of large franchise related to gaming, and then we'll do 1 sci-fi fantasy related thing. Like we could go into the world of Dungeons and Dragons or The Hobbit or anything like that. But so today we are going to talk about, Jesse, what did you bring?
Shai-Hulud. The sandworms from Dune. And it's fictional sandworms.
I mean, yeah.
By extension in general, but yeah, haven't read the books. Just want to again, don't at me if we're talking about it. And you're like, actually, Francis Herbert said I super think that's cool that you love it. You could leave me out of it though. I think there's just a bunch of neat stuff with them.
Yeah,
a lot going on.
I saw the first part of the most recent Chalamet Doom.
Yep.
But I haven't seen Dune yet. So
gotta catch Dune.
We gotta see
so tell me about the Shai-Hulud.
Yeah.
They are a big old stinking worm.
Yeah. Like how big?
It's, I guess, like if you tipped a skyscraper over, it seems like. I don't have
feels like
I don't have dimensions on it.
Well, the fact they ride them, right? And they look so tiny.
Yes, right. I don't know that there is a comparable animal, like real animal in size. I know that a big inspiration for Herbert when writing them was dragons. And so like some ways that appears is that like the native people they have the worms in high regard. They call them like existence of God on their planet. Where you're like, look at this amazing huge thing. We have to respect it, right? So they're really honking large. They can ride them. Their larva creates spice, which is like the whole thing in this story, and it like serves as like a drug and also fuel.
Yeah.
There's also, you guys haven't seen Dune yet, but
no spoilies.
I don't know if you know about the.
Just turn the show off. So.
I don't know if you know about the like life water or the water of life. But that comes from like a juvenile worm, so we get to see like a little baby worm.
I want to see that baby boy.
And it's like venom or poison, one of the two.
Okay, all right.
And
venom is injected. Poison is ingested.
Okay, so then it must be poison. Well, we ingest it, but they're ingesting it without getting too much into Dune. We are ingested. Humans ingest it by choice.
Okay.
I don't know what the worms
where it
are
comes
doing
from
with it.
in the worm.
Yes. They're like pulling it out. And they ride them, and so, yeah, the original dragon comparison was that, like, they are this huge mythical beast that some people respect and some people fear, but either way is a danger, and they are protecting their cache of treasure, but their treasure is the spice.
Right.
And so the whole back and forth in that series, of course, is that, like, humans are trying to harvest the spice because it's so valuable, and the whole thing is that the worms are always pushing back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do the worms eat people?
They do, but I don't know if that's how they. I don't think that's how they receive nourishment. I don't think that would make sense.
They're so tiny. We're so tiny.
Yes. It is more of a get off my land type of relationship.
So what are they eating? Do you know?
I do not know. That's a great question.
All right. Maybe just
it
sand?
feels like,
it could be just sand.
Because then the larvae are pooping out the spice? Is that the deal?
It is a byproduct of the larva. I don't know if it is explicitly poop.
Okay.
But it is...
It's gotta be, right?
I must be.
It feels like it's poop, probably.
Unless it's like...
Okay.
What if it's like an afterbirth? Or maybe they're not... I don't know.
I think it's gotta be poop because it comes out as dust. Which would make sense if they're eating dirt.
What are you pooping like?
Well, I don't eat dirt. If I ate dirt, I would be pooping out dust. But
I'm gonna Google what did the Shai-Hulud do.
Okay, great. Okay, so they're giant. They can move through sand. They sense vibrations. That's a thing,
Correct,
right?
yes.
They poop out spice.
Their babies poop out the spice.
Their babies poop out the spice. They have a larval form. Does the larva look a lot like the adults?
Yeah, yes. And like when we see it in the second one, it is like probably about the size of an eel. Like it's very small.
Oh, wow.
Relative to the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch that one.
I know.
The eternal thing is what they call it, or the grandfather of the desert. So way cooler than the stuff.
I love that.
Okay.
They eat seaweed and animal matter that washes up on beaches.
But it's a dust planet, I thought.
Maybe I guess there's some drink there.
Yeah, there must be.
But that was the whole... They have to wear the suits.
Yeah.
And...
Well,
we see vegetation and animal life on Arrakis. They eat that, but they're like, this says the worms might be up to 400 meters in size.
400 meters.
Feels hard to feed that. Yeah, sand plankton.
Okay, got it.
No.
All right.
I made it up. I got it.
Right.
They made up this fictional character.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So I wasn't sure which way to go with this, so this is what I have. The inspiration, I know, is partially from sandworms or bristleworms. There's also these things called king ragworms that can burrow through wet sand and mud. But I know these guys are dealing in dry sand. It's hard to find much that lives in dry sand on our planet. Mm-hmm. Worms in general can get up to, the longest ever recorded was 22 feet. That was an African giant earthworm.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
22 is nuts.
Yeah.
We know what the girth on that guy was?
No, I don't.
Also 22 feet.
No, it probably
It's the
wasn't
cube.
that wide. I bet it was like very long and not that thick.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of the way earthworms are. But the average for that species is closer to 10 feet, which is still crazy long for a worm. Birds drum on the ground to make worms come up to eat them.
Oh, so they were...
So
that's legit. Yeah, they use the drum.
The little dance that they do seems legit. And there are lots of worms that actually do have some sort of quote-unquote teeth. So, like the crazy popcorn bucket mouth situation.
Yeah.
Also, Brian suggests I talk about nematodes for a second.
Now we're talking.
Yes. The reason they're interesting is that aside from having bilateral symmetry, which means you can like cut them down the middle, like us, right? You could cut me down the middle and I'd have similar structures on either side, right?
Be real sad about it.
Yeah,
it'd be
of
tough.
course.
Yeah, it'd be tough. Hard to finish the show that way.
But for their mouth, they have 3 or 6 lips with teeth along the inside. So they look pretty gnarly. Here's some pictures of nematodes, so you can see that they do look quite a bit like.
Oh, they have that. They have that
Shai-Hulud.
infinite teeth-looking thing.
Yes, and nematodes are related to tardigrades, so that's part of why they have that kind of tardigrade sucker face.
Yeah.
And nematodes can get up to 3 feet long, so pretty big for a worm. Lampreys, I think, are a very close fit mouth-wise because they're a jawless fish that have this kind of like infinite spike whorl.
Yeah.
That looks probably a lot like the Shai-Hulud. And they feed by boring into flesh and eating either the flesh or the blood.
That's that good parasitism.
But what I really wanted to talk about because of the spice situation was the sea cucumber.
Yes.
So sea cucumbers, not as gnarly looking as any of the things I just mentioned, but they do have a mouth surrounded by tentacles, and they can get up to 10 feet long, although I've never seen the like. And they can poop out clean sand. So basically they eat detritus. They eat just muck. But most of the sand that you stick your little tootsies in on the beach has been through a sea cucumber. They are responsible for cleaning the sand that we enjoy on our beaches. So the fact that they have this very clear function in the ocean where they contribute this clean sand made me think about the spice and how like the Shai-Hulud larva is doing this very... I'm just going to assume that they poop it out. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But so that was I think that they're like a sea cucumber with a lamprey mouth is how I kind of saw that working. Yeah. But...
And I feel like Shai-Hulud have to have like a pretty solid kind of role in like Arrakis's ecosystem other than just producing that good fuel drug. So it's like, this makes sense.
Yeah, they're like cleaning the sand.
Yeah, if they're eating, what did I just say? sand plankton?
Yes.
Sand plankton
Yeah.
and
Which I
detritus.
just, 2 different sources said sand plankton.
Okay, so then that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. So
They're
yeah.
like filter feeding through the sand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Golly.
So they're giant sea cucumbers.
Yes.
That's great.
But then what's interesting is, then why are they so mad about us getting that good spice?
Well,
They don't want you messing with their poop.
That's yeah.
gross.
I guess so. I guess. Yeah. Silly question. You're right.
It's that baby juice too, right?
Yeah,
like
I guess so.
Yeah, you're
the
messing
only way
with
you can
their
get
babies.
the good spices by touching their larva. They don't want that.
So I will say that's kind of where this falls apart, is that sea cucumbers, because they're echinoderms, so they're related to like sea stars. They have a similar life cycle to those, so they have these little like free-floating larvae that look nothing like sea cucumbers, really. It's more like a nematode, I would say, in terms of their life cycle. But I do really like the idea of watching Dune and thinking about it as a giant sea cucumber.
Yeah.
Very good.
Which, if anybody listening has not had any hands-on experience with the sea cucumber, please run, do not walk to your nearest aquarium and go to that touch pool and touch a sea cucumber. It's amazing.
That good cuke for sure.
They're so good. Have either of you touched a sea cucumber?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I have.
Okay.
Little tide pool.
We got to
action.
go on a field trip
Yeah.
because it's so great.
Next show, field trip.
Yeah,
We're
because they
recording live from Monterey Bay.
they also have this ability to like firm up their body wall and then become more gelatinous. It's so cool. I loved working with them when I was working at an aquarium. But anyway, yeah. So those are our 3 critters. Any parting thoughts? Any specific things that we talked about that's gonna like stick in your brain for the next week? Like, what did you learn? Anything particularly disturbing or fun or cool?
Oh, the bees.
The bees, honestly, the first thing I thought was
Bees.
the bees.
Made me real sad
sad
because that's
bees.
The
real life.
zombies. So I will, if that is what's kind of sticking in both of your craws right now. There's a zombie study, so you can Google zombie, and if you ever think that you see any bees that are acting erratically, you can actually report them. It's part of this this conservation project, so they can track the zombies so that we can try to help save the bees, because they are kind of in trouble. So
is this not a and I'm sorry if you mentioned this. If we eliminated these jerk flies,
Yeah.
does it mess up the ecosystem, or is this just jerks being jerks?
So
Good
that's
question.
a great question. So my understanding is that probably because of climate change, but for whatever reason, these flies are much wider spread than they used to be, and the zombie infections are much more prevalent than they used to be. And so also the fact that when you have a species or a type of animal that's already in trouble, having additional stressors on that is bad. So
Right.
even if, let's say, the flies were at the same concentrations they were always, the fact that we're messing with bees in so many other ways means we want to try to reduce the stress on the bee system in any way we can.
Great.
Right. So for one reason or another, we're worried about the flies now.
Yeah.
So
Good. I hate them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. I am very excited to. Brian just downloaded which Pokemon on my phone?
Pokemon Leaf Green. So it was like a remake of the Orig with still the Orig components.
Great. So I'm gonna play my first ever Pokemon game.
Yes.
Yeah.
On what? The Switch? They just put the new ones?
No, got
Oh, got the emulator.
Yeah.
It's an
Cool.
emulator,
Yeah,
on our
yeah, cool.
iPhone. So I will be venturing into the world of Pokemon.
Wow.
Get those good fights going.
Fight them animals.
Is there any way to just observe animals, not capture them, and not fight?
Yeah, if you don't ever want to get past the first, like basically
Town,
your
really.
front yard. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you are, to be honest, I mean, the only reason you get a Pokemon in the first place is because Professor Oak,
oh, good. I was gonna call him Professor Wood.
I mean, you're close enough.
Yeah, that's fine. Dr. Wood.
Professor Oak tasks you with cataloging as many
Yes.
Pokemon
I
as
see.
you possibly can. And
It's
it
a
gives you-
conservation project. I
Yes,
see.
it is.
Okay.
and understanding.
Yeah,
It's very much like, and you get good goodies if you have, when you
Okay.
collect
Okay.
catalog. Let's say catalog because it's a little. I feel like it feels a little better than collecting animals for your menagerie. Yeah. So I think there's some good stuff to it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to exploring that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Do either of you have any plugs?
Just keep on keeping on, guys. That's what I gotta say. But I want to plug you, the listener. You're great.
Yikes. Listen to Jesse and Wilder's Guide to Life. That's my thing. Find it where all your podcasts are found.
Great. And listen to This Week in Science Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube or anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope to catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.